So it's a trifecta, at least a trifecta today. It's not just Podhoretz. And the argument that Podhoretz makes, no one can deny. He says, he begins this way, and he's just brutal, merciless. Hey, Lion Ted and Sleepy Joe, meet toxic Trump. If the former president had any self-knowledge or even the slightest ability to be self-deprecating, he might consider giving himself an alliterative nickname. After 3 state national tallies in which either he or his party or both were hammered by the national electorate, it's time for even his stands to accept the truth. Toxic Trump is the political equivalent of a can of Raid. And then he goes through the midterms and says the surest way to lose in these midterms was to be a politician endorsed by Trump. This is not hyperbole. And he goes through all the names in all the cases, including Oz in Pennsylvania, and says those that Trump foisted upon the party, they lost. And you know what example he most uses? A House race that we talked about here, because Peter Meyer from Michigan, the Grand Rapids area, was a guest on the program. Remember, he lost in his primary to a guy named John Gibbs. Michigan Democrat Hillary Scholten was finally declared the winner of that race against, as Podhoretz writes, a raving lunatic named John Gibbs. Gibbs is an example of Trump's monomania. A former official for Trump's Department of Housing and Urban Development, Gibbs tweeted that officials associated with Hillary Clinton participated in satanic rituals. But no matter, Gibbs believed the 2020 election was stolen from Trump, the only stance that matters to the former president. So Trump backed him, and Peter Meyer, an old schoolish, young guy, but old schoolish type Republican, ended up losing. And that seat got handed over to the D's, where it surely would have been Peter Meyer's for as long as he wanted it. Then you get to, so that's the New York Post. Then you get to the Washington Examiner. They make the same point. Voters show they want sanity and don't want Trump, pretty much making the same arguments. The first line, Republican hopes of a smashing victory in the midterm elections have fallen in ruins. Final paragraph, these midterm elections have made it crystal clear that voters want to move past the chaos and dishonor of the 45th president. So today's poll question at Smerconish.com asks, has the outcome of the midterms destroyed Donald Trump's bid for a 2024 GOP nomination? You'll see another link at Smerconish.com. Undeterred, he claims he's announcing next week. All of this criticism, knowing what we know about his personality, might make it even more likely that he announces next week instead of less likely.